Welcome to the Voices of Longevity, a short-form interview series here from the Institute for Successful Longevity at Florida State University. I'm your host, Victoria Valko, ISL's Outreach Assistant, and in each episode, we speak with ISL faculty affiliates to learn more about their work, perspectives, and background. Dr. Ozguven is an associate professor in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the FAMU-FSU College of Engineering and director of the Ryder Center. His research focuses on the interconnections among Florida's infrastructure systems, with an emphasis on transportation, population mobility, and support for vulnerable groups. He leads multidisciplinary collaborations across engineering, social sciences, and public policy to enhance community resilience through data-driven approaches. Welcome, and let's get started. You started your education in Turkey and later continued your graduate studies in the US. What was that transition like for you, both culturally and academically?
Yeah. Thank you again, Victoria, for the invitation. Culturally, I was lucky because I went to Rutgers University in New Jersey, where we had a huge Turkish community. So I didn't really have a problem at the very beginning. But academically, since I'm a transportation engineering professor, in Turkey we have a very transit-oriented, system. And when I came to United States, I quickly realized that we needed to, we need to get cars to go to groceries, shopping or somewhere else. So it was a cultural shock for a, 25-year-old, younger me. But I got adjusted as everyone else, and now I have been studying the issues related to, these transportation difficulties our populations are experiencing.
Looking back on your experiences in Turkey, Rutgers, and in industry, how did those shape the kinds of research questions you ask today?
So in Turkey, I have experienced multiple earthquakes when I was younger and with my family back in 1990s and 2000. So I have seen what disasters like earthquakes can do to communities. And when I came to Rutgers, for a while I haven't seen any disasters, natural disasters. But before coming to Florida, I was there when Superstorm Sandy hit New Jersey and New York area, the Northeast, and we were left with almost 10 days of no power. And my parents were there, and they were elderly. They were around 65. And power means in November in New Jersey, heat. So we didn't have heat in a cold winter for 10 days, and we had to adjust and we had to kind of survive. And I have seen the shortages of gas because there was, difficulty in acquiring those, and there was a gas rationing for the first time I've seen. And after that experience, I came to Florida, and I have seen again many hurricanes since then, starting with Hurricane Herman that hit the city of Tallahassee as a Category 1, and then Hurricane Michael, and how they impacted our urban and rural communities, including seniors and other groups.
And I know much of your work focuses on infrastructure resilience and transportation for vulnerable populations. So, how do you see that connecting to healthy aging and helping older adults live safely and independently?
So we are living in the state of Florida. So we naturally have a lot of retirees that come to the state of Florida from other states and start living here in different areas. Some in rural, very independently, far from any city. Some in bigger cities and so on. But they basically have to kind of understand that we are a state that are affected by hurricanes and lately tornadoes as well. So we need to get ready for to help them, but they need to also get ready and kind of understand that if and I know that they love living independently and by themselves, but in a situation like evacuation due to a hurricane, there may be other difficulties. So we need to help them. They need to understand that it's not like a blue sky day where you drive to a Publix.
So, I know you also use technology like AI and machine learning in your research. So, how do you see these technologies reshaping mobility for aging populations here in Florida and beyond?
Yeah, so again, we have a lot of rural counties, and those rural counties were impacted by hurricanes like Michael, a Category 5 hurricane. And we had a lot of infrastructure loss, a lot of trees on the ground, a lot of power poles on the ground, and people lost electricity, including seniors. It was a kind of a situation where you need to understand that the best ways to solve these problems is the technology itself sometimes. For example, we are looking at satellite imagery and to study before and after images of a certain location, like a rural area, and try to see which roadways or which areas, or which infrastructure lines were impacted most due to the specific hurricane. Um, Many rural, again, counties do not have the manpower and resources like their urban counterparts. City of Talasya and Lyon County can do this job easily, but others usually do not. So looking at the satellite imagery and understanding that changes before and after images tell you something, that is an important information for the cities and counties in these areas, and that can be related to the communities who live kind of independently, to kind of make them understand that these routes, these areas will be probably impacted more because of the trees distribution there or other reasons.
You've also done work on hurricane evacuation and transportation safety for at-risk groups. Can you share a moment when you saw your research make a real difference for a community or influence policy?
So one of the research that we have done with multiple colleges at FSU was to work with libraries and librarians and try to find ways to make libraries serve as resilience hubs in their communities. So when I started this research, I didn't know it, but librarians are first responders in the state of Florida by law. So they are basically required to respond to in these situations, and they're also part of the communities they live in. So there is a huge trust there that was built by the librarians in their community. So using that, we with 5 different colleges: College of Engineering, College of Communications and Information, Social Sciences and Public Policy, Social Work, and Medicine. We work with Calhoun County Library Systems, and we kind of try to find solutions again to make their library buildings more resilient. And also those libraries, for example, can provide different types of information to people that use them, etc. Especially for seniors, this is very important because, so again, not every senior has the capability to use advanced technologies like we do. So they rely on libraries a lot. And one thing that we did, and which is kind of in my domain, is we also trained some librarians that joined our workshop in this. These are state of Florida Florida Panhandle libraries. Geographical information systems, how they can use mapping, how can they use actually those mapping software so that they know where the roadways, evacuation routes are, where the shelters are, and how they can actually see which roads are closed and so on. So this was something that was perceived very well by librarians when we did the workshop.
Florida's rural and coastal areas face unique transportation challenges. So, how do these issues intersect with equitable aging and longevity?
So I'll give the example of Hurricane Michael before answering that question. Hurricane Michael hit the Florida Panhandle as a Category 5, very close to Panama City. It went inward very fast, and it hit the state of Georgia border with a Category 2 strength. So many inland areas and very rural areas, most of them are rural, they did not have the muscle power, they did not have the knowledge to kind of respond to this situation. So it was a catastrophic event. People lost their pine farms, people lost their farms, people lost their houses. It was really an issue of letting people know about the facts of a hurricane. So in many cases, again, people, and including seniors, aging adults, they may not want to evacuate, but that they need to get the right information, the right communication. And it's not, again, easy for them to get these information sometimes because they do not use the resources like their younger counterparts. And cities and counties like Lyon County and City of Tallahassee, they do a very good job of, letting people know, sending mails, sending emails, but it's not the case in rural areas. Those people that actually live in rural areas rely on many times neighborhood, communications, knock on door type of, communications. So the infrastructure in rural areas are also very limited. So we have to understand that we have to educate people. We have to let people know about these facts. At the same time, we have to let them know that this is the evacuation route you have to use, and this is the shelter you need to go. So in the state of Florida, we have three types of shelters, and many newcomers, especially seniors that I have talked to, they do not know about those shelters. We have pet-friendly shelters, we have regular shelters, and we have special needs shelters. So they all need to be, known, because special needs shelters need registries in advance. You have to register for it in advance. And pet-friendly shelters, they are not many, and in rural areas you don't have them much. So you need to know, if you have a pet, where to go. So there are a lot of difficulties in that domain.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about infrastructure resilience or how it affects aging populations?
Yeah, I think one misconception is that many seniors won't evacuate, for example. They will stay whatever happens and so on. I don't think it's the case. I think it's the right amount of communication kind of conveyed to them, because we did many workshops and asked this question: why are you not evacuating? These are workshops specifically for seniors, and they had different answers. One answer that I remember from a lady from Gadsden County is, "Hey, you need to call, my grandson so that I can go see him," right? So for me to evacuate. So you don't have to kind of push me, but you need to find this, another solution so that I can actually leave. So it's not very easy for people to kind of leave their homes, leave their belongings, and go to some other place. But I think, again, given the right amount of information, all age groups, including seniors, they will understand the need to evacuate, because if a category 5 is coming, you need to leave.
Earlier in your career, were there any assumptions that you had about resilience or transportation that changed after working directly with older adults or vulnerable groups?
Yeah, so listening to them is very important in general. So um, evacuation itself is a stressful event. So when you start an evacuation and you stay in that evacuation for a long, long time, like what we have seen with Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma hit the whole state from south to north, and people had to evacuate all, up to Tennessee's and North Carolinas. So it's not an easy process. So we need to make sure our aging groups, our seniors, actually aware of this difficulty. So one thing that I think I have seen before is that many of these evacuation strategies, they usually do not consider the needs of aging people. And when you're driving, especially, they may drive in a blue sky day perfectly, but in a gray sky day with all the stress, all this, waiting, etc., they may have other problems. So these should be in, plans and policies, I think, in the future.
As a member of the ISL, you collaborate with researchers from very different fields. What do you think is the most valuable about bringing engineers, social scientists, and health researchers together on aging issues?
We cannot solve these problems just, working on our own. That's for sure. So especially, again, for aging adults, for seniors, there is a huge amount of communication and information, psychology, sociology component, the social aspects of the component that needs to be considered. At the same time, we are working on, improving the infrastructure, finding solutions to kind of make evacuations and sheltering better. So all these can, all these people that work on different aspects can work together to help our aging populations, especially living in the state of Florida, where we have a lot of retirees. And we need to understand that we constantly get people from other states after they retire who may not know anything about a hurricane. So that's a critical thing. We need to start again with some groups. We need to kind of talk to them. We need to make them understand that this is the problem, and these are the evacuation routes that you need to take, and these are the shelters you can go, and so on. It cannot be solved with just one discipline.
Has your involvement with the ISL influenced the direction of your research or how you approach collaboration?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that is a huge problem in general is trust while working with communities, and especially senior communities. So ISL has a very good relationship with many communities that we have in the city and beyond. And as an engineer, I'll be honest, I do not possess the skills to kind of create that trust that easily. And I think our unique multidisciplinary collaboration with ISL and ISL researchers have helped us build, solutions for many of the senior communities. I presented in the senior center here multiple times as part of ISL's efforts, where I basically presented my research and listened from senior folks, like get their feedback. So I think in that sense, ISL has been instrumental in kind of moving towards better finding solutions for our senior communities.
If you could imagine Florida 20 years from now, what would a truly age-friendly, resilient transportation system look like?
Yeah, as I'm a transportation engineer, so I see that an autonomous world is coming. We cannot avoid that. There is artificial intelligence, as we all see, but also there is the cars. There are the cars that will move, and for a certain amount of time, probably those cars will coexist with regular cars. But at some point, I don't know if it's 20 years, at some point it's going to be autonomous cars most of the time everywhere. So it's important to understand that our older folks, and by then I will be one of them. So we need, and older folks need to understand the need for this technology and should be comfortable with them. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it is coming. So we need to make sure they are part of the, strategy. They are part of the plans. They are part of the policies. We shouldn't be developing these technologies for just one age group, but we need to consider all age groups, including seniors.
And what advice would you give to students or young researchers who want to work at the intersection of engineering, resilience, and aging?
Yeah, I think one thing I liked as a student and also as a professor is working with other disciplines, and ISL and Rider as well. We are kind of centers that really facilitate that connection, and my students have been benefiting from them. I know they've been telling me that hearing multiple perspectives, hearing perspectives from other disciplines, students from other disciplines, not on the faculty, have made them, look into the problem in different ways. So I think my usually vision is, and what I might tell students is, go take other, go take classes from other departments, participate in discussions with other disciplines, and I try to kind of have projects and involve my students in my projects to facilitate that as well.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ozguven. So that wraps up this episode of Voices of Longevity. A big thank you to Dr. Ozguven for sharing your work with us. And if you'd like to learn more about the ISL and the research happening across our network, please visit our website at isl.fsu.edu. And I'm Victoria Valko. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Voices of Longevity.